In the soft folds of your belly, a secret garden blooms. Trillions of tiny beings drift and dine, whispering to your brain. Their silent conversations ripple through your moods and dreams. Tonight, you will wander this lush, unseen landscape. Nestled quietly within you, beneath your ribs and behind the gentle rise and fall of your breath, there lies a hidden garden. It stretches through curling corridors, folds of tissue, and winding shadowed paths. This is not a garden of petals and stems, but of countless microscopic lives, a living tapestry woven inside your belly. As you breathe slowly now, feel a delicate warmth there, as if tiny lanterns glow just beyond your knowing. Your gut, that humble hollow, is far more than a place of hunger and meals. It is a vast, intricate landscape teeming with life. Trillions upon trillions of bacteria, archaea, fungi, and other minuscule residents wander its paths. Together, they outnumber the stars you can see in a midnight sky, dancing softly in the darkness of your core. Imagine them as tiny gardeners, each tending a patch of earth you cannot see. Some sow seeds of calm, releasing gentle chemical perfumes that drift into your bloodstream. Others prune back the unruly growth of inflammation, keeping your inner world from becoming tangled and wild. All the while, they whisper in chemical tongues, sending messages that slip across delicate barriers and rise up to your brain. Each of these creatures is small beyond comprehension. So minute you could line 1,000 end to end along the edge of a single grain of sand. Yet together, their combined weight in your body is greater than that of your heart. They make up a dense, living organ of their own, a secret companion that shapes so much of who you are. Breathe here for a moment. Feel your belly expand and soften. Inside, this unseen garden pulses gently with each beat of your heart. Nutrients drift by like drifting pollen, feeding colonies that thrive in hidden groves. Waste products slip away down dark rivers to be carried off beyond the edges of this inner world. And always, tiny creatures bustle and churn, each performing quiet labors that keep you whole. If you could shrink yourself small enough to wander these winding passages, you might see vast meadows of bacteria carpeting the soft, moist earth of your intestines. Certain regions would glow brighter, alive with bustling markets where microbes trade nutrients and signals. In darker hollows, stranger forms might sway, feeding on fibers you could not digest alone. Their gatherings look like moss on old stone, but each patch is an entire city. These beings are not passive hitchhikers, they are caretakers of your inner soil. They break down tough fibers from the foods you eat, transforming them into tiny molecules, short-chain fatty acids, vitamins, neurotransmitter precursors that seep into your blood. In this way, your meals do not end at digestion. They are passed along to these microbial artisans who refine and repurpose them into the very stuff that nourishes your brain and calms your nerves. Their presence does not stop at the gut's edge. The lining of your intestine is delicate, a thin boundary only one cell thick. Beyond it waits a vast network of immune cells, ever watchful, listening closely to the chemical chatter of these microbes. When all is peaceful, the immune system learns tolerance, practicing patience and balance. When something goes awry, it listens to the urgent calls of distressed bacteria and raises gentle alarms. Thus, your hidden garden teaches your body what to fear, what to ignore, and what to embrace. Even more astonishing, tiny messengers crafted by these microbes slip through the gut wall and ride along your bloodstream until they reach your brain. Some of these chemical notes knock softly on the doors of neurons, modulating how easily they fire, how readily they create new connections, how tenderly they release calming neurochemicals like serotonin and GABA. Others travel along the vagus nerve, a long, winding cable that links your gut directly to the brainstem, carrying news from your belly to the command centers of thought and feeling. In this way, your moods are seeded in your gut's soil. When your garden thrives, flowering with balanced colonies, you may feel a quiet resilience, a subtle joy that rises for no reason at all. When the garden falters, overrun by unhelpful species or starved of proper fuel, you might sense shadows gathering in your mind, a vague heaviness, an anxious rustling beneath your thoughts. Pause for a moment to honor this mystery. Your very sense of well-being, of contentment and safety, is intertwined with the fates of organisms so small they are invisible to you. And yet they live inside you, carried in every step you take, influencing not only your digestion but your sleep, your cravings, even the vivid landscapes of your dreams. Imagine now a tender rain falling across this secret garden. With each breath, you draw in air that fuels not just your own cells, but this entire internal ecosystem. The oxygen helps your gut cells maintain their gentle barriers, keep their edges tight, and pass nutrients selectively to your tiny tenants. Even the rhythm of your breathing rocks this ecosystem, creating subtle waves that stir the inhabitants, reminding them and you that life is a shared endeavor. As you lie here, settling deeper into the softness of this moment, notice how your belly rises and falls again. Inside, trillions of lives echo this same rhythm. They grow, divide, communicate, die, and renew, generation upon generation, in the span of a single night. While you drift toward sleep, entire empires of bacteria flourish and fade, leaving behind traces that will gently guide your mind tomorrow. It is easy to think of yourself as a single being, a lone consciousness housed in flesh. But tonight, you might also think of yourself as a vast forest, or a coral reef, or a meadow in spring, a habitat teeming with creatures who share your journey. You are not alone. You are an ecosystem, a walking universe of intertwined fates. Let this thought cradle you as you breathe slower still. Your garden is alive, tender, and full of small secrets. Tomorrow, you will learn how this lush realm was first planted, how your earliest days shaped the blooms and vines that even now whisper softly to your mind. Tomorrow, you will learn how this lush realm was first planted, how your earliest days shaped the blooms and vines that, even now, whisper softly to your mind. Your very first breaths sprinkled seeds into this hidden soil. A mother's touch, a drop of milk, a stray kiss, all planted life within you. These early pioneers shaped how your mind would weather storms. Notice how tender beginnings echo through your thoughts even now. Asterisk, long before you could name your own body, before you could string thoughts together or dream in vivid shapes. Your hidden garden was already being planted. It began in moments so small and ordinary they often slip unnoticed. But these first moments laid down the quiet architecture of the life inside you, the delicate scaffolding of future moods, of calm, of resilience. Your journey into this world did not start alone. As you moved from the warmth of your mother's body into the cool air of your first breaths, you carried more than your own fragile form. You were dusted with a living pollen, invisible and countless. During birth, tiny pioneers leaped eagerly onto your skin, slid into the creases of your mouth, nestled into the folds behind your ears. These were your very first passengers, and they would soon find their way deeper into you. With that first gasp of air, with the tiny cries that filled your newborn lungs, you began to swallow a world. The microbes from your mother's birth canal, from her skin, from the gentle hands that lifted you, all began to slip down into your gut. There, they discovered a vast, untouched landscape, a place waiting to be settled, to be cultivated, to bloom. Soon after, milk arrived. Whether drawn directly from the warmth of your mother or offered by loving hands, that first nourishment was not merely food. Human milk carries special sugars, complex, twisting molecules your own body cannot digest. They exist solely to feed your new microbial guests. In this way, nature extends a careful invitation. It sets the table for beneficial bacteria, encouraging them to thrive, to lay down deep roots in your tender gut. Imagine this. In those earliest days, your intestine is like rich, dark soil after a spring rain, soft, receptive, eager for growth. The first bacteria settle in clusters, building tiny villages. They digest the special milk sugars and produce gentle acids, which in turn sculpt the environment, making it welcoming for others. Slowly, over days and weeks, these pioneers establish a community. They teach your immune system the difference between friend and foe. They whisper lessons of tolerance, of balance, that will echo through your body for decades to come. Even the simple, loving gestures that surrounded you, a kiss on your cheek, a finger tracing the curve of your tiny hand, added new citizens to your growing internal world. Skin microbes, harmless and even helpful, traveled from caregiver to child, offering diversity and resilience to your fledgling garden. Each embrace became an act of planting. And so your microbiome began not as a static gift, but as a living inheritance, passed on through breath and touch, through nourishment and affection. By the time you were old enough to smile or reach for a familiar face, your gut was already a bustling landscape, home to millions upon millions of inhabitants who worked quietly to digest your meals, train your immune defenses, and craft tiny molecular messengers that would shape your developing brain. Science now tells us something remarkable. These early colonists do more than simply fill space. They play an essential role in wiring your mind. Short-chain fatty acids produced by bacteria feed the cells that line your gut, keeping barriers strong. They also travel into your bloodstream, where they can reach your brain and influence the formation of the blood-brain barrier, that delicate gatekeeper deciding what may enter your most private thoughts. Other compounds drift up the long highways of your nervous system, prompting neurons to grow new connections, helping synapses spark and settle into sturdy patterns. In this way, the bacteria that bloomed from your first breath, your first sip, your first loving cuddle, are deeply entwined with how your emotional brain matures. They help set the thresholds for anxiety, the tone of your stress responses, the ease with which calm can wash through you. Pause now and place a hand over your belly. Breathe softly. Can you sense, even faintly, the echoes of these earliest partnerships? The gentle warmth in your core is more than digestion at work. It is the subtle memory of a garden first planted when you were too small to remember, yet one that still feeds your calm, still steadies your moods. Of course, this beginning is also exquisitely sensitive. If birth came by surgery rather than through the birth canal, or if antibiotics swept through your body in those early days, the first seeds might have been different, not absent, but altered, growing into a garden that required more time and care to reach balance. This is not a failing, not a flaw. Nature is resilient, and the human body astonishingly adaptable. Over months and years, with the touch of the world and the foods of many tables, your garden found its way toward its own unique harmony. Consider how your first tastes of solid food, mashed fruits, tiny crumbs of bread, the rich colors of mashed peas or sweet potatoes, fed not only you, but also your waiting microbes. Each new ingredient was a signal, a promise of complexity, urging your inner ecosystem to diversify and strengthen. Different bacteria specialize in different fibers and sugars, so every new food expanded the chorus, adding fresh voices to the chemical songs that travel to your brain. Even now, remnants of your first microbial settlers may still dwell deep in the sheltered folds of your intestine. They are ancient companions, living records of your earliest days, still quietly influencing how your immune system responds to stress, how your metabolism balances feast and fast, how swiftly you return to equilibrium after turmoil. There is something tender in realizing that your mind's, whether it shifts between sunlit calm and gentle rains of melancholy, is rooted partly in these first exchanges of life. The architecture of your microbiome, built through countless tiny encounters in infancy, continues to shape the pathways of your thoughts. Your belly is not merely the seat of appetite, but a memory palace of touch, taste, and breath, each corner inhabited by microscopic allies who once arrived on the breath of those who loved you. Let this awareness soothe you now. Your life began in connection, in a swirl of shared breath and gentle feeding, in kisses that transferred more than affection. Inside you, that legacy still thrives. It stabilizes your moods when storms arise, helps regulate your sleep when nights turn restless, and reaches even into your dreams with soft, molecular nudges. And if you listen carefully, beneath the quiet hum of your heart, you might almost hear them, your lifelong companions, tending the garden planted long ago. Soon, you will come to know them not only as passive guests, but as tiny architects of your deepest emotions, craftsmen of calm and weavers of subtle joy. You will learn how they whisper to your brain, shaping your very sense of peace. Soon you will come to know them not only as passive guests, but as tiny architects of your deepest emotions, craftsmen of calm and weavers of subtle joy. You will learn how they whisper to your brain, shaping your very sense of peace. Feelings are not yours alone. They are crafted by countless tiny hands. Gut bacteria send delicate chemical notes, tuning the orchestra of your mind. Anxiety, joy, calm, all are touched by these gentle architects. Let yourself drift as we follow their secret symphonies. Asterisk pause here, hand resting lightly on your belly. Beneath your palm, beneath layers of skin and warm muscle, a hidden realm stirs with quiet purpose. It is not silent, though its voices are too small for your ears. Instead, it thrums with chemical songs, delicate notes sent from trillions of tiny lives, each shaping how you feel, how you settle into this moment, how your mind dances between calm and unease. You might think of emotions as rising solely from your brain. After all, isn't that where thoughts dwell, where memories live, where dreams unfurl at night? But your brain is not an isolated throne. It listens closely to whispers from far beyond its vaulted chambers. And some of the most profound whispers drift up from your gut, carried on fragile rivers of molecules crafted by the creatures that live there. Imagine your gut bacteria as tiny artisans, each with a brush dipped in unseen colors. They paint subtle strokes along the inner walls of your intestine, blending compounds that drift out into your blood. Some of these compounds are the raw ingredients your brain needs to craft neurotransmitters: serotonin, dopamine, GABA. Others are more like gentle nudges, guiding your immune system, soothing inflammation that might otherwise cloud your thoughts or tighten your chest with anxious energy. In fact, most of the serotonin in your body, nearly 90%, is produced not in your brain at all, but in your gut. Specialized cells, encouraged by the metabolites of certain bacteria, churn it out daily. While this serotonin doesn't cross directly into your mind, it helps regulate the pathways that connect gut and brain, keeping the delicate conversations steady and clear. It is like tending to the strings of a harp, so the notes won't waver when the mind plays its melodies. Other compounds slip more directly into the bloodstream, journeying through your body until they reach the brain's tender gates. Short-chain fatty acids born from bacterial feasts on fiber can calm microglia, the brain's vigilant immune sentinels. When these sentinels are at ease, they refrain from sending out distress signals that can make the mind restless, agitated, prone to gloom. Meanwhile, the vagus nerve, a long, meandering cord that stretches from the base of your brain down into the gardens of your gut, acts as a living telephone line. Messages travel both ways along this nerve, but many originate deep in your belly. Certain gut bacteria can stimulate receptors that send signals up the vagus, slowing your heart, deepening your breaths, wrapping your thoughts in a soft shawl of peace. This is how your tiny residents become architects of emotion. They build subtle scaffolds that steady your moods. They tune the rhythms of your nervous system so you're not perpetually caught in flight or freeze. They help your body learn the difference between a true threat and a passing shadow, allowing calm to bloom again and again in your chest. Consider, too, how the balance of these bacteria matters. When the garden inside you grows diverse and lush, with many species sharing space, no single group overruns the rest. In this harmony, anxiety tends to soften, depressive fogs lift more easily. But if stress, poor diet, or illness tilts the balance, certain strains may dominate, sending out different chemical notes, ones that heighten vigilance, stir restlessness, and make your inner world feel brittle. None of this is your fault, nor entirely under your conscious control. It is a delicate dance of life forms, nutrients, immune signals, and nerve impulses. Even so, your choices, the foods you offer, the ways you rest, the moments you take to breathe deeply, all send invitations to certain microbial guests, encouraging those that nurture calm to settle in and thrive. Breathe slowly now. Imagine your gut as a dark concert hall, rows upon rows of tiny players tuning their instruments. Some pluck at delicate molecular strings, others press air through unseen pipes, all contributing to a symphony that rises up through your body. Your brain listens closely, adjusting its own harmonies in response. This is why sometimes anxiety has no clear origin in thought. It may be a minor chord struck deep in your belly, carried up to your mind where it colors your perceptions, or perhaps on another day, joy bubbles through you unexpectedly. A brightness in the chest, a sense of gentle possibility. That too may begin in your gut, in the metabolic celebration of microbes feasting on fibers, crafting short-chain fatty acids that soothe inflammation, ease the brain's alarms, and leave you feeling quietly safe. How wondrous it is that your sense of self, your very experience of being okay in the world, is partly built by creatures you will never see. They do not share your thoughts or your memories, yet they shape the soil in which your emotions root and grow. Rest with this thought a while. Let it settle into you, a small truth among many. You are never feeling alone. Countless lives accompany each rise and fall of your breath, working tirelessly to help you find balance, to restore you gently to a place where calm can bloom. Soon, you will listen even more closely to the chemical conversations flowing between gut and brain. You will discover the rivers of tiny molecules that travel from your belly to your mind, bearing gifts that soothe or stir, and learn how even your dreams may be touched by these secret couriers. Soon, you will listen even more closely to the chemical conversations flowing between gut and brain. You will discover the rivers of tiny molecules that travel from your belly to your mind, bearing gifts that soothe or stir, and learn how even your dreams may be touched by these secret couriers.